Greetings and salutations, my name's David Rodwin and this is some epic bullshit. So I'm going to Vidcon this weekend. I'm going because a complete stranger on Twitter gifted me her pass to this sold out event, and now I get to hang out for a few days with the stars of YouTube. So a special thanks to supermom blogger extraordinaire Jessica Gottlieb. Check out her vlog right here and look for her link to her blog in the doobly-doo. Yesterday I was researching just what the heck it is I'm actually getting involved with and discovered they're expecting 6,000 stars and fans of the online video world down at the Anaheim Convention Center. And after analyzing their Twitter feed for a while, I discovered one very important thing. The median age of the attendees is approximately
Vidcon, be there.
Pretty Louise Taylor. People in footy pajamas all at once in the same place.
I am really shy.
Okay, that last girl was really cute.
I've never been to California before, so I'm really scared.
But I think I'm biased because of the way she greets people at the beginning of her videos.
Salutations, everybody.
But my god, they are so young! But instead of wallowing in the thought that compared to them I'm about as obsolete as a Packard, I thought I might be able to share something so I could be a contribution to help bridge the gap between the generations. So hi, VidCon kids! Despite the fact that I look like an octogenarian to many of you, I love that you guys are putting yourselves out there with the raw energy of a spastic supernova. But since I graduated from college before many of you were even born, I wanted to share with you that even though vlogging is really new and it feels like you're on the vanguard, you are not the first to open up the doors to your private world for everyone to see. And just like in the film Prometheus, you might learn something very interesting by searching back to find out what your origins were. Your progenitors, the engineers, if you will, of this bare-breasted form of self-expression, were a bunch of live performers who came to be known as monologuists.
And it was the first day off in a long time, and the Thai waiters are running and smiling and bringing us more Kloster beer. Everyone is ordering the Kloster. No one is drinking the local beer, which is exported to the United States because they say it has formaldehyde in it.
And remarkably, though this movement has birthed a range of artists, leading all the way up to the modern-day Icarus Mike Daisy, made famous by his flawed takedown of Apple's Foxconn in China, the genesis of this form can be traced back to a single man. His name is Spalding Gray, and you need to know who the hell he is right now. Back in the early 70s, when Tom Wolfe and Hunter S. Thompson were ripping journalism apart at the seams with their first-person literary gonzo-style journalism, this autobiographical long-form poet began his epic navel-gazing in their wake. Spalding started in New York as an actor, and he corralled the misfits of Soho into the avant-garde juggernaut, the Wooster Group, considered to be the greatest theater in America today by all of Europe. The Wooster Group has ever sported only one truly famous member, Willem Dafoe, only 19 years old when the troupe began. But its first projects were dedicated solely to exploring Spalding's life to date, the centerpiece being his mother's suicide. Because that's always a fun topic. But after a few years of this, feeling the falseness of the stage, Spalding left the group and struck out on his own. What he tried next was so simple it was radical. He would sit behind a desk with nothing but a microphone, a flimsy notebook, and an ever-present glass of water, from which he would periodically and methodically take a sip to perfectly punctuate a story with Pinteresque finesse. And then he would tell stories from his life, just like you. But he didn't broadcast to millions from his bedroom. Instead, he spoke to a few dozen people at a time in a darkened theater where he could hear their every breath and feel them respond to his every word. But unlike vloggers today, he demanded complete attention from his audience, often for up to 2 hours at a time. In return, the moment he felt their interest waver, he would adjust the story, like some pro surfer who knows how to find the sweet spot of a wave instinctually. So while we as vloggers think we have an extraordinary machine at our disposal that facilitates faster communication than ever before, in reality, our response rate to our audience is light years behind the intimacy that comes from live performance. And while Spalding's earliest work was just like yours, him talking about what happened to him that day, he soon took on longer form narratives, weaving together dozens of stories tied up in one grand digressive arc, like in his seminal work, Swimming to Cambodia. That tour de force takes him from the sex clubs of Pat Pong to the surreal experience experience of acting a bit part in the film The Killing Fields.
After what the Khmer Rouge have been through, I don't think they're going to be exactly affectionate toward Westerners.
But while he took on global and historical things sometimes, in everything he did, he captured the confusion of modernity and the confounding nature of human being, always tying it back with his obsession of sex and death, not to mention those other two terrifying forces, love and commitment. His self-flagellating candor provided catharsis.
Look, I had a vision of myself right now as a kind of wandering bachelor mendicant poet, wandering all the way down the beaches of Malaysia, eating magic mushrooms all the way as I went until I reached Bali and evaporated in a state of ecstasy in the sunset. And all of a sudden I realized I was going to be very sick.
Sure, there have been masterful American storytellers ever since Mark Twain, but Samuel Clemens always hid behind his fiction, and Spalding was the first to risk exposing himself, ugly and unadorned.
And I pulled off into a far corner of the beach, and up it came like a wretched Thai dog. And as the vomit came up, I covered it over with sand, and the sand turned into a black gauze death mask that flew up and covered my face. So big vomit covers sand mask, vomit covers sand mask, vomit covers sand mask, until I looked down and saw that I'd built my entire corpse out of sand.
I see an interesting trend amongst vloggers today. Everyone goes out of their way to be likable. And there's no doubt the trolls out there in the comment section have created an entirely new dimension of hate. But while it's tempting to do everything you can to get people to hit that damn like button right there, the most powerful part of Spalding's work was always when he was willing to show us when he was being beastly.
And my face was staring back at me, and my teeth were cutting through the rotting lips, and my ribs were coming through the decomposing flesh of my side, and Renee was standing over me going, "What's wrong, hon?"
He connected with his audience, making them feel less strange, twisted, and alone. But he killed himself in 2004 after descending into a madness just a year after he took me on as my mentor. So I'd like to take the liberty of passing on this thought to you. Dare to be unlikable. Powerful things can come from it. Now go watch Swimming to Cambodia. It's on YouTube, right here. My name's David Rodwin, and this was some epic bullshit.
And it was the first day off in a long time, and the Thai waiter is running to jump over hedges to bring us more Gloucester beer, and all of a sudden the waiter trips, falls, the Gloucester beers fall and explode on the cement by the pool, and the waiter looks up with a great smile and says, "Sorry, sir, we've just run out of Gloucester."